The Martin family.
You couldn't have 22, so get retired.
Thank you, Jim. This is a special day for me. It just feels like home. This is one of those days as you begin your coaching career, and you start thinking, will I ever get an opportunity to coach at a place like Mizzou? And now to be home, just up I-70 is a tremendous feeling. As you all know, I'm a Midwest guy, and to be at home amongst family, friends, loved ones, supporters throughout the state of Missouri is a great, great feeling for me. And before I go any further, one thing I always have to do is introduce my family. And I have a lot of family here, as you can see. My wife, Roberta, who's basically my right hand, been a tremendous supporter, a wonderful lady. Now, my oldest son, Joshua, couldn't be here. He just came off spring break. He attends another university. He attends Purdue University, so he couldn't be here. So I imagine he's watching. And my other son, Chase, who's 15. And my daughter, Addison, will probably join the gymnastics team. And as well as my family, my mom, my brothers, my sisters, my uncles, just cousins, it's a tremendous feeling to be a part of this. It's just so humbling for me because it seemed like this thing has come full circle. I'm happy to be here. Also, I'd like to recognize people that are very instrumental in me coming here. Chancellor Foley, President Choi, the Board of Curators, Jim and Brian. Please give those guys a hand. And oftentimes it goes unnoticed, but I thought they did a tremendous job and were very professional and respected the fact that I was at another university. I thought they did an exceptional job, and I really appreciated that. Now when you talk basketball, I grew up watching Mizzou basketball. Norm Stewart was one of my favorites. When you put Norm Stewart and Gene Cady, I always watched Norm Stewart, my three favorite, Norm Stewart, Gene Cady, and Jim Calhoun. Because I felt like those guys were tough, hard-nosed. They demanded a lot of their players. They worked extremely hard. They competed at a high level. They played with passion, and they were tough coaches. So, oftentimes people call them old school. So I guess I'm an old school coach now. But I love the way those guys coach the game. And now as we fast forward, I think this is a wonderful place. Great tradition, great history. One of my best friends, Melvin Booker, played here. A lot of great players that played here. Great facilities. I don't think there's anything that Mizzou's lacking. I think we have everything to be very successful. I think we have everything to be the last team standing one day, and that's my goal. The things that we have to do to be successful, everybody talks recruiting, but that part is understood when you're talking about recruiting student athletes. But for me, it's more than that. We got to have guys that understand the passion of being a part of this program. Guys that want to be successful, not only on the basketball floor, but in the classroom. I mean, very successful. Not just to say I got a degree, but to have a successful career. And I think that is most important. And those are the things I learned along the way. My mom talked about that as a youth, but didn't really understand what it meant at that time. But now as a man, the importance of being successful and really trying to make our guys understand, not just basketball, but in life. Because my goal for all of our players is 20, 30 years down the road, that they're successful men. And that's, for me, that's very important. And the other step for us is in the community. we have to do a great job in the community because look at this, right? I've never been in a place like this, had a reception like this. So give yourselves a hand. I appreciate that. And the one thing I want you all to know as you attend today, in order for great programs to be successful, of course you need good basketball players, guys that want to be a part of a great program, but you need a great fan base. And we need everybody on board. Even those tough times, we need everybody on board because you have to understand our staff will do everything in our power to be successful. And we'll work to the midnight hour to be successful as a program. And we won't stop until we're the last team standing. There's a lot of work behind, and it's done the right way with a high level of integrity and character and with good people. So you'll be proud as a fan with our staff and our players because we'll do everything in our power to represent the right way because it's not just what we do on this floor, it's also what we do in life. And we're part of this community. And I tell our guys, whether you like it or not, you're part of the community. And we have to make it work together. Even on those bad days where you thought I made a bad call, a bad play, stick with me because we're family. And that's how we become successful. And again, just to have an opportunity, there have been a lot of great coaches that come through here, but just to have an opportunity to coach on the floor that Norm Stewart coached on, even though it's a different arena, but just to be in his presence because of what he meant, what he represented, how hard his guys played. And I think his number 22 is retired. I wore number 22 at Purdue. That's probably why they gave me number 1, because he's the only guy who can wear number 22 around here. So they let me take the number 1. But again, he probably beat me in one-on-one too. So again, this is a tremendous opportunity for me. I'm grateful for everything, and I appreciate everything. And I would like to open up for any questions. My wife and I, we weighed all the pros and cons. I mean, outside of it being close to home, I just felt like it was a great place, and I felt like you can be the last team standing here with the fan base, the tradition, the history, and you're the state school, so to speak. So I think you have a lot of things to be very successful. So being close to home was probably the last thing when we weighed the pros and cons. I just felt like it's a great place, great support, and I think the administrative piece was also key for me because I want to work with good people because in those bad days you have to be around good people, in my opinion. I think we have a great group of people here. Well, what we like to do, we like to play extremely hard. We like to, the one thing we talk about all the time is to play unselfishly as a team, to play together and defend, rebound, and play as hard as you can play. And oftentimes that's easier said than done. I mean, I think you look at our defensive numbers, we're probably top 10, 11 in the country every year. I mean, just taking pride in that part. Offensively, we put guys in the NBA, but a lot of it has to do with your skill level. My job as a coach offensively to put you in position to be successful. And I tell guys all the time, I hadn't shot a basketball in 20 years. So my job is to put you in position to be a successful basketball player. But the things that we cannot compromise is defending, rebounding, and playing hard. Well, every opportunity I've had as a coach, I felt like that was an opportunity to do my job. And the most important thing is you're hired to do a job and do the job to the best of your ability. It wasn't like I was seeking opportunities, but when this came about again and when it presented itself, I just felt like for me, as you pray through things, this is probably it for me if it works out. If Mizzou keeps me for 20 years, then it's my plan to be here for 20 years. This is it for me. Again, one thing that's why I mentioned out of respect, and I really respect the way Mizzou went about it because oftentimes there's a lot of conversations that take place behind the scenes and people call in which if you occupied another job, they shouldn't call. So again, whatever they did it behind the scenes. And then obviously my representation, probably the last week or so when they made the decision that here's an option. And for me, I don't get, maybe my wife did, but I don't get caught up in what's on social media. I don't read any press clippings, so I was just doing my job coaching a team. And then when they presented it, just, again, an opportunity couldn't pass up. Because I thought all the things worked out right and just so happened to be at home. Because I thought even if it wasn't at home, everything was great. But now all of a sudden it's close to home. And again, I pray that this is my final stop. I felt like that was the toughest thing for me as a coach my first year at Missouri State. Wonderful people, great place, but I thought it was extremely hard because it's my first time as a head coach, and there's so many unknowns because oftentimes we have all the answers as assistant coaches, and then you move over to that one seat, and there was not many people I could communicate with because you're the boss. You're supposed to have all the answers. Everything is supposed to be right. Well, we won 11 games that first year, and I thought it was tough. I just said, man, this is So you have to fight, you have to work, you have to be around good people. And for me, even in choosing a staff, you have to have people that you can lose with. And what I mean, of course, nobody wants to lose, so I'm not saying that, but on those bad days, we have to have a great relationship so we can push forward. Because oftentimes when you're building a champion, you have rough patches here and there. So I got to be around good people. Oh, it's a great league. You see, they have 3 teams in the Sweet 16 right now. The one thing I thought when I was in the SEC before, I didn't think the league got the credit it deserved as far as the basketball piece. And oftentimes they would say, well, because the football was so big and they didn't value basketball. But you had great coaching. You had a lot of guys that played professional basketball. It was a physical league. I think it's a great league. I really do, and I think the fans support it. Great locations. And I think for any league, you want to be in a league where you have multiple teams playing the NCAA tournament because everybody have a chance to have success. As you can see, you have 3 teams in the Sweet 16. Wonderful young man. I talked to him probably about an hour ago. I mean, obviously great guys. And I don't want to necessarily get into specifics of what we talked about, but the biggest key is if losing basketball games, if that's the worst thing they'll go through in life, they'll live a great life. I mean, really. I mean, seriously. They're successful men. Coach Kim could coach. Stuff happens, and then all of a sudden, my wife says it all the time, losing is mental. We have to get better as a program and as a team, but great guys. And my thing with those guys, I said to them, hold your head up high, have character, have integrity, and we'll get where we need to go. But for me, is to understand who they are. You have to walk a certain way. Don't allow losing to dictate or determine how you move and walk as a young man. Well, again, like I said to the guys, I said, we all have a new slate here. I don't know what the record was last year. I don't know what happened last year. They lost a lot of close games. Anytime you beat Vanderbilt here by 20, and then, stuff happens, so that means you're good enough. The parts are there. So that means that we got to improve our confidence. We got to get bigger, stronger, faster, and all those things. But it's work to be done. I don't necessarily I haven't looked at anybody in the league or what they have or don't have. I'm consumed with our team, and I think we have a chance to be successful. And I'm not in the business of waiting 3 and 4 years. I just think we have to work and get it done, because if you're physical enough to do it, we got to get it done. And I don't think there's any ifs, ands, buts about it. Well, I'll be in tears throughout the night because my family's going back until my kids get out of school. So, I'll be here solo working, which is always fine, because those first 3 weeks for me, just you hit the ground and run. And you forget where you're sleeping at sometimes because you're just moving. But I'll be out there. I pretty much will be out the Midwest just recruiting. But first and foremost, I'll meet with the players tomorrow and the next day. Then after that is just hit the ground running. Well, I mean, the one thing I try to stay away from is cliches and sound bites that make it sound good. I try to be sincere as possible. But Mizzou is not just a national brand; it's a world brand. I mean, so when we recruit, we're not just recruiting in the United States; we're recruiting across the world. And I think we have to understand that and get the right student athletes to fit what we're trying to do. And those 2 guys you mentioned, that was about relationships. One of them I knew when he was 14. Now, obviously, the guy was a local guy, but just working extremely hard, building relationships, and helping them see what we have to offer. And this is a great place. And again, one of the things I want everybody to leave here with as fans, and it's very important that we understand this piece, when recruits see our basketball brand on TV, when they come to campus, when this arena is filled up, it helps me do my job. And I think those are the things we have to understand. What per NCAA rules, I can't speak specifically about an individual, but it's great basketball. We had our battles when I was, grew up in East St. Louis. We had our battles on this side of the river, but a lot of those guys now are coaches, friends of mine. But throughout the state, tremendous basketball, great coaching. Not only that, but they have great summer league coaches. But I think throughout the Midwest, there's a lot of good basketball. And for us, we want to start in the state first and foremost, but we had to go all across the world pretty much to get ball players. Truthfully, my counsel, because it happened so quickly, was my wife, really. I mean, just to be totally honest with you. So give her a lot of credit for that. I mean, For me, and I try to stay away from, again, I ask questions because it's part of my job, and I read the news when stuff is presented to me. But when I was at Missouri State, if I'm not mistaken, we graduated 8 out of 9. When I was at Tennessee, 11 out of 11. Here at Cal, and we got 5, so it'll probably be 10 out of 10. I don't consume myself with what took place if I wasn't a part of it. My job is to do what we need to do right now, because I always look at that as an excuse. I understand what took place, figure out a way to make it work and move forward. I just try not to consume myself with anything negative and anything that slows me down. So pushing forward, I ask questions about what is taking place, and now we have to make progress and move forward.